I'm Kevin Miller, Superintendent of Licking Heights Schools, and by now you know this is Todd Griffith, our vaunted treasurer.
That's right.
Vaunted. It means
I
held in high esteem.
Okay.
That's what that means. Today we want to answer the question, who's really footing the bill for Ohio's public schools? Footing the bill. I don't know where footing comes from. The
No
same
idea.
dictionary that has vaunted in it, right?
Yeah, I learned something new today.
Well, so you remember, obviously, that funding our public schools is a partnership between the state and local taxpayers. And we've already shared with you that the state share of funding in public education will drop from about 42% to only 32% by the end of this 2-year budget cycle. That will be an historic low. The state is decreasing their financial obligation to public schools in Ohio, which has increased the local share. So in the past, the local share was supported somewhat equally by businesses and property owners, homeowners and farmers, right? However, one of the issues with rising property taxes is that the local share is falling more and more on homeowners and farmers and less on businesses. In 1975, businesses paid about 54% of all local property taxes and homeowners and farmers about 46%. But today, that balance has flipped. Homeowners now pay 68% of local property taxes, while businesses only pay about 32%. That means families and farmers are carrying twice the share they did a generation ago. And that's not because schools are spending more, but because of legislative choices and changes made at the State House that have favored how businesses are taxed to the detriment of homeowners and farmers. It's an issue.
It is. Yep.
So let's take some time to trace the chronology of decisions that were made at the State House that shifted the burden of local taxes from businesses to homeowners and farmers. It goes clear back to 2005, 20 years ago, Todd.
Yep. And it started with House Bill 66. So House Bill 66 eliminated a tax called tangible personal property tax. And I'll refer to it as TPP probably throughout this. What that taxed was equipment, machinery, and inventory of businesses. And it generated about $1.1 billion to local schools. In the state, when they did this, when they eliminated TPP, they said they were going to reimburse districts. And so they started to, but that over time phased out. It phased out all the way through about 2019, where it was almost completely phased out. The schools lost the total value of the TPP tax. So what that did is it took away business tax, which was being paid, and it once again shifted it back to local. There's another tax that was instituted called CAT tax, or commercial activity tax. And this is what legislators said they were going to use to offset some of the losses. That didn't really happen. It's certainly a tax. It certainly went to the state, and they may have used it to fund some of the state funding, but it certainly has not replaced tangible personal property tax for Ohio schools.
Yeah, I remember being a superintendent at that time and legislators saying we're getting rid of TPP, tangible personal property, but the CAT tax is going to replace that. So everybody will be in good shape. We never saw that money, did we? No. Then in 2022, the legislature passed House Bill 126. It stopped schools from challenging commercial property valuations, even when properties were selling for millions of dollars more than what they were being taxed for. So the example is, if a warehouse is taxed like it's worth $5 million, but it sells for $10 million, we can't ask for the value to be updated to $10 million. So the business keeps paying taxes on the lower value. And who makes up the difference? Homeowners make up the difference. The shift from businesses to homeowners.
That's right. The next factor has shifted the tax burden from businesses to residents also, and it's tax abatements. That's what we're going to get into. We'll start by just explaining what a tax abatement is. It's an incentive given by local governments that reduce or eliminate taxes for businesses on new construction, improvements, any improvement to the site. And it's really always for a specified number of years, often between 10 and 15 years. This means school districts are not receiving full benefit for the taxes that the business would have otherwise paid. That's what an abatement is. What often happens is businesses do provide payment in lieu of taxes. We refer to that as pilots, payment in lieu of taxes. And this is an annual payment that provides revenue to the school, but it's never at the rate in which we would otherwise receive from the taxes if there was an abatement. In fact, it's often a pretty small portion of what would otherwise be paid.
The use of abatements impacted school districts even more negatively when House Bill 33 became law in 2023. That bill changed Ohio's Community Reinvestment Area, or CRA, laws to allow municipalities to grant property tax abatements of up to 75% on new commercial or industrial projects without approval from the local Board of Education. They were carved out. This means cities can now give away 75% of tax revenue, a significant portion of a school district's property tax revenue, funds that support classrooms and students. They can give that away without any input from the elected officials who represent our local residents, our Board of Education members. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, here's an example of how this works. Okay, so these are complicated issues, but I'll go ahead and get into it.
They're smart people. Lay it out there. They can take it.
Got it. If a business builds a, let's say, $10 million facility, the school district here at Licking Heights, based on our rates, we'd receive about $136,000 in property tax revenue.
Annually, right?
Every year, annually. However, if that business secures a 75% tax abatement through the municipality, which they can do without us even knowing, without the board having any say or any understanding that it's even happening, it would then pay on taxes on $2.5 million of the value. Remember, it's a $10 million building with a 75% abatement. It would only then have to pay taxes based on a $2.5 million value. That would result in a $102,000 loss to our district. In this arrangement, the city gives up about $13,000 in property taxes to give that abatement. But then oftentimes the cities, because they're the one granting the 75% abatement, negotiate revenue sharing agreements or pilots. Remember, pilots are payment for the taxes. So they'll negotiate these revenue sharing agreements or pilots that make them whole. And almost in every case, they're much better off because they'll also negotiate income tax sharing pieces along with these. And as a reminder, I've said it once, probably twice, but the board would not be involved in this scenario at all. We have absolutely no voice. While we have good relationships with our municipalities, and we do, we have great community partners, these situations are happening because it's permitted by the law, by this new law.
So, I mean, we're showing you that state policies continually favor business tax relief over tax relief for homeowners. As context for House Bill 33, in 2004, about $5.7 billion in Ohio was property value that was exempt from taxes because of abatements. According to the Ohio Economic Policy Institute and the Legislative Service Commission, which are both nonpartisan research organizations, by 2024, that number exploded to $26.6 billion. That's $26.6 billion in property value across Ohio that is not being fully taxed because of abatements. That's significant.
Another recent example of legislators providing tax breaks to businesses to the detriment of homeowners is House Bill 15, which was just recently passed this year. This law reduces the assessed value of utilities. So power plants are really the biggest utility that we're talking about here. So it went from 24% to 7% in what its value is actually taxed upon.
So wait a second. So homeowners, your house is taxed at 35% of its value, right? So a public utility was at 24%, And House Bill 15 now has taken it down to 7%.
Yeah.
So homeowners are paying on 35% of the value of their home. They're only paying on 7% of the value of their public utility.
Yeah, so $100 million facility that's a power plant is being taxed on $7 million of its value.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So this is significant. It's 30%. It's only 30% of what we were otherwise getting prior to this law. And this has a real impact in our community.
Yeah, we've got an example just down the road that you can share with them.
Yeah, so on Morris Road, they're building a gas-fired power plant right now.
So when you look at those big buildings, those are data centers. So all of those big buildings you're seeing built there are data centers.
Yeah, and so they're building a power plant on the data center site to help support power on those for those data centers.
Yes.
So the law says once this thing is built and it goes online, that's when this takes effect. So in 2026, the power plant will go online in 2026 or 2027. And so the value of that power plant will be taxed at 7% of its total value. Originally, they were thinking we would get $10 million in revenue. This is like game-changing money for the district that we thought would really help our taxpayers. We had the opportunity to give true property tax relief to our district. Now we're going to receive maybe $3 million, pushing it there, because of this bill just passed this year. This was this year that it passed. So it's been a pretty major impact on our district.
Absolutely, absolutely. It went from 10 million to 3 million.
And quite honestly, they've talked all about property tax relief, and we had the opportunity, but yet another bill that would have given really genuine property tax relief to homeowners is no longer going to do that.
So while all that is happening, the state continues to fall behind on its obligation, constitutional obligation, to fully fund Ohio's public schools. The Fair School Funding Plan was designed to fully be funded by 2027, but lawmakers have only partially funded it in this budget bill. Today, according to an analysis from the Ohio River Valley Institute, the state is nearly $3 billion short of what that plan requires. That means local districts are forced to turn to levies and local property owners to help make up the difference that the state is shortfalling school districts.
We understand the legislation like this is good for businesses, and we need to attract businesses and attract jobs to our region.
Yeah.
Like, we're not arguing that.
Right.
It helps the area, it helps families find good paying jobs, but there's a cost to school districts when the state agrees to cut taxes and make reductions. And when the state cuts taxes for businesses, it shrinks the funds available for education even more.
For Licking Heights, these policy choices have real costs. Enrollment in our district has grown by about 1,200 students in the last 5 years. That's a 28% increase. Meanwhile, state funding hasn't kept pace. So that means every new building, every teacher, every support staff that we hire must be funded locally for the most part through property taxes paid by our homeowners. And if the balance doesn't change, we'll keep asking our families to do more and more while businesses in the state contribute less and less. When schools lose funding, we all feel it. It results in larger class sizes, fewer teachers, fewer electives and career tech options, cuts to arts and athletics and mental health programs, and more. Strong schools strengthen communities. When we have strong communities, we have a strong state. We prepare the workforce that our businesses depend on. This isn't about being against businesses, not at all. It's about fairness. Ohio's laws have steadily reduced what businesses contribute to education. Remember, homeowners now pay nearly 68% of local school funding. That figure used to be 46%, while businesses pay only about 32%. That figure used to be 54%. It's time to restore balance so homeowners, businesses, and the state each pay their fair share. Folks, if you have questions or you want to talk more about any of these issues, reach out to us. My email and Todd's email are at the bottom there, or give our district office a call. We are always welcome to talk with you, to sit down individually with you and talk about the things that we've been discussing in our videos over these past few months. Together, we can keep Licking Heights the strong and amazing school district it is, and make sure that every Ohio student has the opportunities they deserve. Thanks for joining us.